Now let's talk about the US-India relationship. It is suffering setback after setback. First with the tariffs, then came the H-1B visa shock. Now the US has sanctioned 2 Indian nationals. The US Treasury is behind this move. The Indian nationals are accused of producing counterfeit pills. These pills were laced with fentanyl. Now, fentanyl is a synthetic opioid. It is 50 times stronger than heroin, and it has driven America's deadly drug crisis. The sanctions are tough in nature. They block any assets these Indian nationals hold in the US, and American companies cannot do business with them. The fentanyl crisis is a big issue for the Americans. US officials say even a small dose of fentanyl can kill. That makes this a serious national security matter for Washington. But the timing of this move is equally significant. It comes at a delicate time for US-India ties. Now, top Indian ministers are visiting the US. They are trying to steady the relationship. Just weeks ago, the US imposed a 50% tariff on Indian goods. They blamed India's imports of Russian oil for this. New Delhi called the tariffs unfair and unjustified. India says it needs cheap energy for its 1.4 billion people. But the Americans remain unconvinced. They are pushing India to drop Russian oil. Consider what U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright said yesterday. He was speaking in New York. Wright urged India to stop buying Russian oil. He said India has many other options.
Well, there's lots of oil exporters in the world. You know, India doesn't need to buy Russian oil, right? India buys Russian oil because they can buy it for cheaper. Because nobody wants to buy Russian oil, so they have to sell it at a discount. India has decided to make the trade-off to buy cheaper oil and sort of look the other way, that's giving money to a guy who's murdering thousands of people every week. So, yeah, of course, we wish India would work with us to buy this. You can buy oil from every nation on the earth, just not Russian oil. That's our position. America has oil to sell, but so does everybody else. We don't want to punish India. We want to end the war, and we want to grow our relations with India.
Wright claims America is not trying to punish India, that the Americans just want the war in Ukraine to end and use the oil supplies as leverage. But in the same breath, he ends up pitching American energy supply for India. All of this is happening while Indian ministers are in Washington. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met with Secretary of State Marco Rubio and with Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal meeting U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer. The meetings took place on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. The goal was to restore stability in the relationship. Jaishankar called it a discussion of current concerns. Goyal pushed to restart trade talks. Officials describe the mood as constructive. So does that mean there'll be a trade deal soon? Observers are hopeful. According to them, there is hope of a deal that could happen by November, but there is also skepticism. Recent moves from Washington have rattled New Delhi. The $100,000 H-1B visa fee, the 50% tariffs, the new sanctions, and the pressure on Russian oil. President Trump, too, spoke about the same issue at the UN General Assembly. He called India and China the primary funders of the Ukraine war.
China and India are the primary funders of the ongoing war by continuing to purchase Russian oil. But inexcusably, even NATO countries have not cut off much Russian energy and Russian energy products, which, as you know, I found out about 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't happy. Think of it. They're funding the war against themselves.
Trump warned he could apply more pressure if India keeps buying Russian oil. He defended the H-1B visa fee as well. Trump terms it as a measure to protect American jobs. For Indian officials, these statements highlight the challenge. The talks may continue, but these signals don't spark confidence. The US and India are long-standing partners, but 2025 so far has been marked by tensions over a host of issues: trade, energy, visas, now sanctions. India is trying to balance optimism with realism. The message is that dialogue will continue, but the hurdles are not going away. India's leaders, both in Washington and in New Delhi, wish to stabilize the relationship. There is hope for a reset, but the road ahead looks challenging.